This is my Ford F-150, but obviously this is my F-150, but I've just deleted my smog pump and now I want to simplify all the vacuum lines. And it's much easier to talk through it looking at this than it is looking at this. Let's get started. I've created this to help us replicate the inside of the engine bay. But even this is pretty complicated to understand. So I'm going to start deleting a few of these things that we're not going to be working on, starting first with our map sensor. The map sensor detects the amount of pressure in the manifold. It then takes that information and gives it to the computer. It's very important, but not for what we're talking about. So we're going to get rid of the map sensor. Next is our fuel pressure regulator. Fuel pressure regulator regulates the amount of pressure in the fuel rail. It connects to the vacuum tree as well. It's important, but not for what we're talking about. The next thing we're going to be getting rid of is our charcoal canister and our canister purge valve, which connect over here to the throttle body. Many of these vehicles won't have a canister purge valve, but most of them should have the charcoal canister, which takes fumes from the gas tank and it recycles them into the intake to be burned off in the engine. We're going to get rid of that. And then the last thing we're going to be getting rid of is our PCV. This connects down below the intake, and its job is to make sure that the pressure in the crankcase doesn't build too high. Now, everything here represents what we're actually going to be working on. So now we've got rid of our smog pump. If you watch video 1, you'll see how I do that on this Ford 4.9. But now we represent getting rid of it. Now that we've gotten rid of our smog pump, we're going to be focusing on these two solenoids here, the TAD and the TAB. The EVR is something that we're going to be leaving in because it connects directly to our EGR, which we're keeping on the system. So now that we have our smog pump gone, we can start deleting vacuum hoses we have represented by alligator clips. That went from our smog pump to our TAD and our TAB. Let's disconnect those. Take away the hoses. And now I have these vacuum caps that I got from Amazon, and we're going to be taking those and we're going to be capping where our vacuum lines used to connect to our smog pump. Now that we have those capped, we still have lines connected to our solenoids that go over here to our tomato can, the best representation I could find. So we're going to need to simplify this by getting rid of our lines here. We're going to cap our solenoids. And now we still need to create a new line that we can run over here to our EVR. That is going to remain connected to our tomato can over there. And then we still have a line going from our EVR to our EGR. Now, there are going to be electrical connections as well for the TAD and TAB. You want to keep those connected for the computer so that it receives a signal that those are still plugged in. That way you don't get any error codes or any cell codes. That is everything though. These are all the connections that we're going to be adjusting after our smog pump. We've really simplified this now. Let's go over to the other video so you can kind of see that happen in action. In the actual video, you'll see me remove this exact line because it broke on the back side of the intake. So I replaced it with a new silicone rubber line to go from my tomato can to my EVR. Here we are now at the actual vehicle. We are going to start by cleaning up and getting rid of our vacuum hoses that are connecting our TAB and our TAD. It's not easy to identify everything down here, which is why we did the example on the benchtop. Now that those lines are disconnected, I'm going to move over here to our vacuum canister. I'm going to be disconnecting the line that goes from the can over to the EVR. And like I said earlier, the line that connects those two has a crack in it. So I'm going to be removing that and replacing it with a new silicone hose. Alright, got the old cracked one out of there. Now we can take our vacuum caps and start capping the TAB and the TAD. It's much easier to see once I disconnect these electrical connections. Now we want to double check and make sure that the top spout of our EVR leads to our EGR. And then, like I said, we're going to be running a new silicone line from the bottom spout of the EVR under the intake and over to our vacuum canister. plug back in those electrical connections, and that is everything we need to do to simplify our vacuum hoses after the smog pump delete. I really hope this video helps simplify things for you guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please comment. If you want to see more of these videos, please like and subscribe to the channel. It is really appreciated. See you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.